Buster went out and got Devers, right? And Devers, I think is a little bit banged up, but this guy in the long run is going to be a terrific offensive player for the Giants. And now, they're still struggling a little bit offensively. So now you're starting to hear a lot of people say, well, they need another hitter, or they need a pitcher. And maybe they do. In this case, maybe they do need a pitcher, or maybe they do need a hitter, or maybe the guys that they do have need to take that next step up, as a lineup or as a pitching staff. Because I just don't think you can always go to it's the trade deadline and we need to go get this and we need to go get this, because it's not always easy to do. Maybe the 26 guys need to just step it up a little bit to try to get that extra production.
Well, I mean, it's okay, Glenn, for the fans to say, we need this and we need that, and then we'll be okay. That's fine. I mean, they can play that game. But the guys in the clubhouse, that's not something that they should think about doing, because what Buster or the president or Zach, they can basically say, look, I gave you the right pieces. Now you have to do something.
Yeah.
I don't look at me like I can save you, because maybe everybody should up what they're doing, and then we could be better and win some games. I mean, yeah, look, in a perfect world, a veteran starting pitcher, maybe a third or fourth starter on another team would really help.
Yeah.
Obviously now because of the birdsong thing. And if you could get, another quality hitter, that would be great. But I do think you're asking the organization a lot if you're a player to say, please save us, because we're not doing very good right now. So save us. And I don't think a lot of ways that can happen. I remember Brian Sabian one time said, look, it's not on me anymore. It's on you.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
And I do think it's fair.
And I think the players would agree with that too. Don't you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, but there are some really interesting names out there that would really help this team. But you got to figure, well, at what cost?
Yeah.
And sometimes they need to play a little better to make that cost worthwhile. Mm-hmm. And right now they're not doing that. They're not showing the right people the right things to make any more improvements to this team.
Yeah. And I think too, there's, the lineup gets talked about a lot. Lineup gets talked about for every manager. It's just, it's a baseball conversation that fans can have. The lineup, oh, we should do that. And sometimes there's good ideas out there, but I also think the lineup isn't an issue if you're scoring runs, right? The lineup only becomes an issue when you're struggling and trying to find guys where to put them. And, where do you put Jung-Hoo Lee? Do you leave him down at the bottom? Do you bring him back up to the top? But he's continuing to struggle some, so, I think that's another one of those conversations that it's good baseball conversation, but you're usually having it, when the offense just isn't clicking. And there just seems to be, I don't know how you feel about it, but there just seems to be something a little off with the offense. They've looked better the last couple days. They scored some runs. So I don't know that it was necessarily on them, but just in the long haul, they just seem to be a little off as a group. And I've tried to kind of put my finger on it, and I haven't been able to do it.
There's one guy I'd love to see in a Giants uniform, whether it's this year or next year, and he is a free agent. And that's the kid that plays left field for Cleveland.
Kwan?
So he can leave after this year.
Yeah.
So would the Guardians want to trade him?
Yeah.
So that they can get something for him before he leaves? Well, that would be a guy that might be worthwhile thinking about, because he would definitely change your lineup. and he would definitely change the defense in your outfield.
Yeah.
So, if somebody like that is available, but, you also have to look at it like he may be a rental.
Sure.
And how much do you want to give up for a rental? So
that's the big
those
question.
are all decisions that I'm glad I don't have to make. It's easy for me or for you or for people at home to come up with these ideas of what players would be fun to get, but he would be fun to get.
Yeah. And then that's the fun part about, the trade deadline, because you can sort of fantasize about, well, that guy would be great to get. But every fan base is doing that, so, but it is kind of one of the treats of the baseball season and the trade deadline. But so 61 games left. You'd love to see this team get on a roll, but you look at these couple teams that I kind of picked out, Duane, that are really hot right now. And I know the one team that you really like, and I like them too, because of the way they play, like Milwaukee. So now Milwaukee has won 10 in a row. I don't even know if they won tonight. I can check here. They're playing in Seattle. But they've won 10 in a row. They're 34-12 in their last 46 games, and they've managed to catch the Cubs, which nobody thought was going to happen in the National League Central. And I bring up the Brewers because, yeah, they're hot, but you look at that team, and there's not a huge amount of star players on that team. But when we've seen them, they just play the right way. They steal bases. They play good defense. They get after it. They play hard. They pitch pretty well. And you just feel like are the Giants just don't seem like they're that far off from being that kind of team, but they just haven't got on one of those rolls yet. And now the Brewers are on one of those rolls, and they just feel like they can't lose. But that's what happens with a good team when they get hot. You feel like, hey, we're going to win every day. And I would imagine a team like Milwaukee that just seems to me to play the game the right way. There's something about them.
Well, I do think, Glenn, that their roster is a little different than the Giants. I mean, they've got some really young, talented guys. And the Giants have some young, talented guys who just can really do. And, and that's important. I mean, the Brewers have these guys running around. I mean, look, I use the Brewers and the Blue Jays as two examples of, and the Marlins as well. When the Marlins played the Giants, they played them really tough.
Yeah.
It was like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
I mean, who are they? And meanwhile, they're knocking balls all over the place, over the wall, off the wall. They're running down, they're diving, and their pitching's good, or good at least in that series. And a lot of it has to do with energy. And offense creates energy. People on base create energy. Base hits with runners in scoring position create energy. And you have to have a little bit of all of that in order to go from winning 2 out of 3 to winning 5 out of 6 to all of a sudden, I think the Blue Jays won today, which is now 11 straight at home.
Yeah.
And I had no idea the Blue Jays were that good. I had no idea. But yet, when you look at them and you watch them play against the Giants, they look like the 27 Yankees.
Yeah.
And it's probably a combination of them being really good and the Giants not playing their A game at all.
Sure.
I mean, the Friday night game with all those base runners and not getting any hits with runners in scoring position, that crushes you.
Mm-hmm.
It just kills the momentum of what you're trying to do. So, I mean, look, it's not the young guys now that are going to have to step up for the Giants. It's going to be the veteran guys. You can't ask the young guys to do it. It's going to have to be Adames, who was great. He had 4 hits tonight. Mm-hmm. And it's going to have to be Devers, and it's going to have to be Jung Hoo Lee, although he's still a young guy. I mean, he doesn't have that much time in the major leagues. He's going to have to step up. And Amos is going to
Yeah, we lost Duane there a little bit. He may have frozen up. But anyways, I mean, he makes good points. I mean, it's we're closing in on August 1st, and you're in a tough stretch right now. You're losing games, and you've had this stretch where there wasn't a lot of runs scored, but the pitching was good. Now the pitching's taken a little bit of a beating lately, and the offense has scored a few runs lately, and you're still not winning those games. So you're just in one of those funks where everything is going against you. The problem is you're dropping in the standings. That's sort of where that issue comes in. San Diego won again tonight. San Diego is one of those teams you're fighting with in that wild card. So you're dropping games in the standings quickly. Now you can get those back quickly, but you're also in a mix with not just the Padres but 3-4 other teams. So that's kind of where that issue comes in. But anyways, let's move on to something else. We can dissect this as much as we can. But one thing that got me thinking, Duane, when Giants are in Atlanta, and it's the Braves, and I know you have a big soft spot for the Braves. People may forget that the Braves came from Milwaukee. They were the Milwaukee Braves, a very successful team in Milwaukee. And then, unfortunately, Major League Baseball really wanted a team in the Southeast. And back in the 60s, there was not a team in the Southeast. And Major League Baseball thought it was a little bit of an untapped area. And they said, we want the Braves in Atlanta, which kind of sucked for people growing up in Wisconsin. And Duane, I know you grew up a huge Milwaukee Braves fan. Those were your guys. But at the age of 15, they left.
They
left.
I know. Sucks.
I mean, that I know that's something that stayed with you for a long time. That all of a sudden they were gone at the age of 15 when you were really locked and loaded on being a baseball fan.
So I'm sitting at my desk in my office, and it just so happens that in the top drawer, I'll put this up as close as I can. So this is a 1957 World Series pin.
Yeah.
So instead of getting a press pass in those days,